We are group number 1, and we're going to be discussing digital intelligence, which includes two different elements: cyberbullying and digital rights and responsibilities. In group 1, we have Austin, Brooke, myself, Krista, Christina, Destiny, and Jacob. Our rules were as group member 1, I will be introducing our issues, defining them, and introducing our guiding questions. Destiny, as group member 2, will pose issue, challenges, and opportunities. Brooke and Jacob, as group members 3, will talk about issue mitigation and resolution strategies for K 12 learners. And Austin and Christina served as group members 4, and they helped with editing and requirements reviews. So to start, we want to define what these issues are that we're looking at. We chose digital bullying and digital citizenship because we felt like they fit together within the same category of digital intelligence. Digital bullying is defined as repeated activity conducted via electronic means with an intent to cause psychological torment. Digital citizenship is an ethical framework for compliant and reliable use of digital technology. Digital bullying, aka cyberbullying, has three different components. It is technical in that it requires connectivity and access to technical skills to complete the cyberbullying actions. It is multifaceted. It can take place in email, text, social media, on websites, and even in online gaming. It is also hidden. The signs of cyberbullying are often not recognized by adults. The rapid increase in the use of the internet over the last decades has created the need to develop an ethical framework for its use. This applies broadly to society in general, but also specifically to schools and students. Digital citizenship initiatives help students learn to use the internet in a responsible way. These initiatives vary by school district and by academic method applied, but they often include 6 key elements. 1. Access. Students need the ability to connect to the internet to learn how to use it properly. 2. Communications. Students need to understand that how they interact with one another while online matters and that there are frameworks for how to engage in this in a proper and appropriate way. 3. Literacy. Students need to understand how to process information online. This often includes learning how to trust and identify sources that can provide reliable information. 4. Ethics. Students need to know that they have the ability to behave responsibly online and that the adults in their life expect them to behave in that way. 5. Health. Students need to be able to set boundaries on their connected behavior and understand what emotional and mental health looks like when engaging in digital activities. 6. Students need the ability to remain safe online. They need to understand digital security and what it means to engage on the internet in a safe and secure way. In the rest of our presentation, my colleagues and I will examine these two issues through two guiding questions. Question number 1 is, how can teachers and administrators prevent cyberbullying? Question number 2, how can teachers and administrators create cultures of responsible digital citizens in their classrooms and schools?
Digital bullying versus educators. Challenges of cyberbullying. The digital mask. Digital bullies are masked by a screen and are not always visible to the audience or victim. Addressing bullying behaviors using a moral or ethical approach is difficult if the bully never experiences shame or guilt associated with witnessing the emotional toll on the victim. The screen transforms this two-person reality into one, eliminating the victim's reaction from the equation. The safety net of anonymity makes the act of bullying easier. Digital footprint. Tracing acts of digital bullying to a specific person or group of individuals is tricky. While law enforcement agencies have resources to track digital history, educators lack the tools and privileges to access a student's digital footprint. Fortunately, students often use their screenshot capabilities or record from their phone to capture a digital bully in action. Digital rights and responsibility. Cyber curriculum. Balancing classroom instruction, standards, and assessments with monitoring online behavior presents a challenge for educators. But with great technology comes great responsibility. The privilege and opportunity to use technology in the classroom makes cultivating a climate of digital responsibility necessary. Digital digestion. Another challenge is the technological divide. The gap between generations of teachers and their students creates a problem for those not familiar enough with the apps or technology to address the issues of digital responsibility with confidence. Teaching digital responsibility to tech-savvy students can be difficult.
Educators must prepare themselves, expand their knowledge, and break through the barriers. Advise and inform students. Nobody is immune to cyberbullying. Everyone has a responsibility to respect the rights of digital citizens, including their own rights. Protect your personal information. Report inappropriate online behavior and consider all sources of digital communication.
Well, cyberbullying can happen in many types of online environments, but this one may surprise some people. According to a new study, a majority of teenage video gamers in the U.S. say harassment and bullying is an issue. 29% say it is a major problem. So for more on this, let's bring in Dr. Jacqueline Hargrove. She's an assistant professor of psychiatry at Mount Sinai. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us. I think a lot of parents would be surprised, that there is bullying in video gaming because they imagine, as my parents might, that I'm in my room and I'm playing a video game and I'm not outside, I'm not with friends, I'm not even in an environment where there are players with me in my room. So how does this and why is this happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great question. Good morning, Anne Marie and Vlad. So I think the why is such an important question. And so we can kind of look on data on, I guess, traditional non-digital forms of bullying to sort of answer this. And as psychologists, we're constantly asking questions about why, because people don't engage in a behavior that doesn't serve some function. And so if I'm hearing about a teen either engaging in or being the victim of cyberbullying or an online gaming, I'm going to be thinking about a few things. I'm going to be thinking about where has this child learned or observed the behavior? I mean, when I think about video gaming, people are live streaming all the time. You're constantly seeing chats and you're seeing that behavior potentially play out in the chat before you. And so I think sometimes, particularly unfortunately, online, there can be sort of a culture where bullying is sort of sanctioned and okay because it's happening in chats. I think also the literature around bullying also highlights the role of power and control. Many types of bullying often have some sort of perceived or very real power imbalance. Either someone with a larger social media following, maybe with someone more social clout. It could often be sometimes an older teen picking on a younger teen, maybe someone from a more marginalized identity as well. So I think we have to think about what's the function and role of power or perceived power and wanting to have control over another person. And I think the third thing to think about is when we're talking about online, that is a huge social audience. And so oftentimes people are engaging in this behavior and potentially getting responses that are reinforcing this from the online community as well.
I think those are all great points. You talked about your parents thinking that you're just kind of playing video games, but video games now have these chat rooms that are going on.
They don't know that.
And I think about Gamergate, which was kind of like a big scandal about how women were being harassed on these gaming platforms, and it was the stuff being said, but also the way the characters interacted with them. And you don't know in the gaming world whether or not it's a 12-year-old that's playing out there, and it's 12-year-olds and 54-year-olds all in the same sort of thrown in together. In real world, they would never be thrown in together like that. So can we talk about the risks and the dangers of cyberbullying, especially when we're talking about young kids?
I mean, absolutely. And of course, I'm, thinking immediately of the social, emotional, and psychological impact. I mean, you all, sort of started this and saying, parents are thinking my kids are just online, having fun, playing a game. And I think video gaming does provide a safe haven and refuge for so many kids. I mean, I work with kids and teens in my practice, and so many of them are online and enjoying the community, the worlds that they get to build. And so to have your sort of safe haven now turned into a place where you actually feel vulnerable and targeted, I think is really detrimental. So, I'm thinking about some of the increases in anxiety or depression. I think not only having that sort of safe haven in some ways sort of taken away, I mean, unfortunately, we've seen on the most extreme ends the ways that, cyberbullying can, even have teens thinking of self-harm or other, really, you know, uh, uh, unhelpful and really kind of scary thoughts about themselves. And I think you mentioned sort of the difference between potentially, elements of gender, even the type of bullying sometimes is impacted by gender. Certainly there tends to be a lot of more like appearance-based bullying for young girls, sometimes more social exclusion. Sometimes with boys, it might be more direct teasing or more kind of verbal threats. So even the type of bullying that also is being used then has its own, impact. And of course, we can't necessarily correlate one thing with video game or online bullying, but certainly the psychological impacts I mentioned, maybe withdrawal. Now that kid from their social worlds, now that kid maybe is not willing and wanting to engage in that space anymore. And then, of course, things can sometimes spill out into sort of academics, physical health, sleep. Oftentimes, kids and teens might show up with physical problems, so like headaches, stomach aches, and as I already mentioned, sleep disturbances. So there can be a lot going on, particularly when you're going in a space thinking this is safe, I'm here to have fun, and now all of a sudden I'm a target, of bullying.
Doctor, I have a 12-year-old who is a gamer. She just built her own gaming computer. I could never take this stuff away from her. So
Absolutely.
give me sort of 3 tips for parents if you suspect your kid may be exposed to this.
Sure. And I'm also going to answer too. I often think we just focus on the teens impacted by bullying, and I think it's hard as a parent to think my kid might be the one
True.
doing the bullying.
Yeah.
So I think it's also important to think about how can I help my teen in both situations? How can I help them think about, what's the kind of digital citizen you want to be? What's the kind of community that you want to be creating, and kind of give them some agency in both their own behavior, but also kind of monitoring as well. And like, how are you going to respond if you see someone in the chat saying something? Or so I think having a game plan as well. So I didn't want to ignore that part because, I think that's the more, difficult thing as a parent to think like, oh, my kid might be the one actually engaging in this behavior.
So true.
But on the flip side, if you're thinking about, your kid online, of course, this is a place where you want them to enjoy and build their world. I think having conversations with them and not just around the doom and gloom, I think tell me about the world you built today. What was something that you got excited about while playing? So that way your conversations aren't just about did something bad happen, but you've already sort of rehearsed. We're going to be talking about all the aspects of your world and experience that when you do have to or you suspect something, it's not coming out of the blue. I also really strongly encourage parents play the games with your kids. The more that you feel familiar with the digital mediums that they are using, the more that as a parent you can feel empowered to then ask questions and
Right.
kind of have an awareness of what they're doing. And I got to tell you, in working with teens, they love showing me because I'm horrible at these games, and so they love kind of having an edge,
Yeah.
given that sort of difference in power of showing me, seeing me fail. So it's actually a fun way to connect. So don't be afraid to get involved. Encourage your child to be a digital
My daughter
citizen.
tried to get me to play like one of her games.
Totally.
And when I finally got around to it, I was like, okay, I'm ready. She's like, oh, that was last month.
Yeah,
She's on to something
moving
else.
on, Mom.
Yeah. Dr. Jacqueline Hargrove, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you all.
Although these issues can be intimidating, digital bullying and digital rights and responsibility also present opportunities. With digital bullying, there's an opportunity to incorporate technology standards for encryption procedures and safe uses, explore protective protocol. There's also an opportunity to increase technological knowledge and understanding and allow for better insight to digital vulnerabilities. With digital rights and responsibility, there's an opportunity to evaluate new rights for digital citizens and reflect on the timeline for human rights historically. Also, there's an opportunity to cultivate a culture of digital community and diversity, establish a digitally respectful climate in the classroom and always.
All right, for group member three's responsibilities, it was divided amongst myself and Brooke Williams, and we are talking about the strategies to mitigate digital bullying. And we have two major strategies we're going to talk about today. The first one is to implement comprehensive digital citizenship education. The strategy includes to incorporate digital citizenship education into the curriculum to teach students about responsible online behavior, empathy, and the impact of cyberbullying. Now, first example of this strategy is through Common Sense Education. This organization provides a comprehensive K through 12 digital citizenship curriculum that helps students navigate the digital world safely and responsibly. Their curriculum covers topics like cyberbullying, privacy, and digital footprints. Many schools across the United States have adopted these resources to educate students about digital citizenship. Another one of these resources is EduTopia. This organization, which is an initiative of the George Lucas Educational Foundation, strives to integrate technology and strategies for technology into the classroom setting. While integrating the technology, EduTopia offers articles and plans at different times throughout the year to bring awareness to digital citizenship. According to Rochelle Dene-Poth of EduTopia, students and teachers must learn how to keep themselves safe and protect their privacy while being able to engage in polite online exchanges. One of the public schools that we've already seen this type of digital citizenship lessons engaged in is the Seattle Public Schools. They've integrated digital citizenship lessons into their curriculum using resources from Common Sense Education. They aim to empower students and to use technology safely and respectfully, reducing incidents of cyberbullying. The last example of this strategy is through the software Edpuzzle. This site offers pre-made video lessons for ages of K through 12 to be able to learn about digital citizenship through their interactive lessons. Edpuzzle also allows teachers to create and edit their own digital citizenship lessons themselves. So that's our first strategy. The second strategy is to establish clear reporting and supporting mechanisms. And this is to create clear, accessible channels for reporting cyberbullying instances and provide support for those affected students. First major example is through stopbullying.gov. This federal government website provides resources for schools to set up effective reporting systems and outlines steps to support students who have been bullied. They advocate for anonymous reporting tools and immediate intervention to address bullying instances and incidents. Second example is through a site that's called Crash Override. This non-governmental organization was established in 2015 as a crisis hotline for people who are experiencing online bullying. Crash Override also offers a resource center with tools and information on how to deal with cyberbullying and how to protect yourself from cyberbullying. The last example with this strategy is through the New York City Department of Education. New York City Department of Education has implemented the Respect for All initiative, which includes a comprehensive framework for preventing and addressing bullying, including cyberbullying. The initiative provides training for staff, clear reporting procedures, and support services for students who experience bullying.
In conclusion, our group found that students in K-12 environments require information and support as they learn how to be good and safe citizens in connected environments. Thank you for a great term and for the opportunity to work on this project together and present this information to you.